Man, it's been, 12 years ago?
Yeah.
12 years ago. And I don't know, we were just always looking at new things to do and new ideas, and you came up with that idea. And David Redman had a car with a passenger seat in it. Somehow you put it together and made it work.
So what we did was we actually first tried doing this prior to that day, which was July 21st, 2011 at Kennedale Speedway Park, where we tried to do this inside the car event announcing thing. And we tried doing this though with other equipment, interviews in the pits and stuff like that while, the race show was going on, and we were trying to do interviews down in the hot pit, or the lineup shoot, I mean. And we tried stuff, but we were using studio equipment mostly, not, some of the equipment that we've got available to us today. And we had it available back then, but we're doing stuff out of our own pocket and trying to make things work. And so we had a lot of failures, didn't we?
Yeah. It was a trial and error process for sure, but we didn't have the budget NASCAR has, so we didn't have the luxury of in-car telecommunications, so It was, we were trying to find alternate methods of making that happen. Went through several different scenarios, I think, to finally come up on something that worked.
I don't remember where we got the equipment, but what we ended up with was an in-car or inside the helmet type of mic. And that was the same type of equipment that they would use even in NASCAR, where they had a mic that would where you could wear it inside the helmet and communicate with the crew chief who had a radio. And so we used that equipment. That's how our connection got started, was to be able to get a good signal from the car to a radio, which we could hook and link into the sound system of the PA system that went out to the fans in the grandstands. Isn't that kind of how that went?
That's best I remember. That's exactly how it went.
Yeah. So we got the equipment and we got it all installed, and then we went to Mr. David Redman. David was gracious to let us get in the car and ride with him during his heat races, both heat races and the A-Main. And we did quite well, actually, if I remember right. I don't think we won, but we did well. And, throwing another 200 pounds into the passenger seat can throw off a setup of a car, so he did pretty good, I think, with the setup. But, so we had the sound of my voice as I was inside the car announcing the event. That must have been kind of a weird thing for you to experience up in the booth.
Yeah, it was certainly something I'd never been party to before, and it was an interesting concept, an interesting view from your angle. Get that in-car audio like that. I remember we had the receiver up there in the booth, and I just held the microphone to the receiver, and that's how we were able to turn it on to the broadcast so where people could hear it on the PA system.
Because that was a memorable moment for us all and on this announcers team that we had at the time. And, everybody together helped make that work. We had other people helping us as announcer assistants because we did so many different things at Kennedale Speedway Park back then. We always needed to have some help just to conduct these things to make it possible to occur. But, it was a team effort that day.
Yeah, it definitely was. A lot of prep work went into it,
Yeah. Yes, it was, and timing it and all that, and then you pretty much managed the booth while I was down in the pits trying to get prepared and everything. Sam Cox, who is a Touring Outlaw Modified Series racer these days, he loaned me his old driver's suit and helmet, gloves, and shoes. He gave me everything I needed. Fortunately, everything fit me good. I don't recall or know of any time that this may have occurred, you know, prior to us doing it. I'm not saying that it didn't happen. I'm just saying that I don't know of it ever happening. I do know that Darrell Waltrip rode with a racer, and while he was the announcer for NBC Sports, I think it was, and he was telecasting a NASCAR event, somebody gave him a ride around the racetrack, and he was communicating with that. But that was a one lap thing, and I remember that, but I don't. He didn't announce an actual event.
Yeah, yeah.
It was kind of a neat thing, because what I did during the announcing during inside the car during the race was I would talk about how he was trying to maneuver the car and position it to make a pass or this or that. And then on the cautions, I talked about how they, look over the track conditions, also, what, their gauges look like, and other things that they do during caution periods. Sometimes they're just trying to calm down and get their heart rate back down a little bit because the adrenaline's flowing and all the other things that are involved. So, but yeah, it was a different thing, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was a street stock back in them days. I believe we was talking in the pits after the races, and me and you was talking, and I said, man, I'll put a seat in this car if you got the cojones to ride with me. And then it kind of just went from there. You said, well, I'm gonna if you put a seat in it, I'll ride, and then I'll announce from the car. It's a pretty cool deal.
Yes. Neil Palmer and I was co-announcers, and we was always trying to do something new for the fans to enjoy, and so we thought that would be a new addition to the show, to the racing excitement, and so I don't know about you, but I personally was very excited about it. I had some kahunas, but I don't think I had enough, because there's a couple times I felt like I was almost going to fill my drawers.
Yeah, it was definitely a pretty cool deal, at the time. I mean, I don't think any of the street stock guys at that time had seats. I don't even know if the factory stocks did at that time.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, we went out and I put the seat in it and put all the safety equipment in it, and we kind of went and tested a couple times before you got in it, and we got the setup down, and it was actually pretty fast with you riding over there. Those street stocks back then, they had quite a bit of horsepower.
Yes, they did. Yes, they did, and we did pretty well, if I remember right. I don't think we won the first heat, but I think we were in the top three. Do you remember how we did?
I think we was in the top three. I think we started in the back of that deal, and we ran up to third. So yeah, we was definitely competitive in it, and I don't remember exactly where we started, but it was definitely a good time.
Do you remember? I think it was what was it? Ron Palmer. We had I think he wheel hopped a right rear tire in that race, one of the races. Because we did this not just in the first heat. We ran the heats and the A main together, if I remember right.
Yes, we did. Yeah. In the heat race, yeah, we got into Ron. I think his left front wheel hopped the right rear out. Whatever happened, and he got put in the fence there, and that was kind of a bad deal. And me and you, we didn't even know exactly what happened, or I didn't anyway, and it caused a red flag. So me and you, we stood up there in turn 1 and 2 for, I don't know, it seemed like 30 minutes waiting for them to get everything cleaned up.
Yeah, it was, and I agree. I didn't know at the time what happened, and to be honest with you, I didn't even know that we were involved in that accident. In that caution. Sometimes there's some rubbing and bumping, but I really didn't feel any sudden super hard jolts or anything like that, so it didn't alert me to anything. But it was pretty much a wheel hop, and you can see that in the photos that I'm going to include here. But yeah, it was. It wasn't. We survived that pretty well, that incident. But do you remember how we did in the A main? Because I can't remember. I slept since then, like Neil Palmer would say.
I don't remember. I want to say we was in the fifth or sixth, probably, if I can remember that.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it was. It was. We did fairly well.
Yeah, and thankfully I had all the racing gear I needed: the helmet and the gloves and the suit and the fire retardant shoes and all that stuff. Sam Cox helped me out with that. And so I was in good hands, safety wise, and I trusted your racing. I knew that you were a trusted racer I could trust riding with. And I know you run some pretty good equipment most of the time, and that your equipment's pretty solid, and good welds and all the other equipment that you put in there on your car. So I felt pretty comfortable about riding with you. I've driven a few race cars and stuff in my time, but never anything, on a constant basis. I've always driven somebody else's car when I drove one, and it was only on a temporary basis. But it's a whole different feeling being over on the passenger side and trying to call the race from that side. Was I any kind of a distraction to you at all? If I remember right, my left elbow was kind of bumping your right elbow as you were driving, and I tried to move that out of the way. But was I any type of a distraction to you at all, or did it interfere with your racing at all?
No, not really. Actually, the way we set the car up is we put it on the scales. I got a guy about your weight, and we put him in the passenger side of that seat. And then with me in it, and we scaled the car out to have the same left rear weight as we did with just a single driver.
Mm-hmm.
And it actually worked out pretty good. Now, if I remember correctly, I had to raise the right rear spring up just because of the more weight over there. But the car handles good. So yeah, not really no distraction at all.
Have you ever heard of anything like this ever happening before? Because we don't know if this is truly the first time in history or not that's ever been done, where an announcer announced the entire race from inside of a race car. I know that was a rare occurrence.
I've never heard of it before or after. To my knowledge, that's the only time it's ever been done, and definitely a cool deal. As far as my racing career, it was one of the most memorable nights of my deal.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Darrell Waltrip had a ride along with a famous race car driver around a track, but he was not announcing the race. It was just a ride along. So we know about that, but we don't know of any other occurrences that were a true announcing of a racing event from inside the car. And so if anybody who's listening to this, let us know if you've have information about somebody that has done this here, similarly like we did, by announcing from inside the car. So hopefully somebody will let us know. But it was a memorable moment, and that was July 23rd, 2011. My goodness, the time has flown.
Yes, it has.